Good morning students. After completing the proton NMR spectroscopy, now today I am going to start ultraviolet spectroscopy, UV spectroscopy. Ultraviolet spectroscopy. It is also called as electronic spectroscopy. Electronic spectroscopy. Now ultraviolet spectroscopy is used or studied for the identification of nature of the sample. Ultraviolet spectroscopy is useful for the study of nature of the sample. Nature of the sample. The nature include the sample may be aromatic or sample may be aliphatic. It may be aromatic or it may be aliphatic. Aliphatic. If it is aromatic, now what will be the ring size? Ring size. Ring size may be 3-membered, ring size may be 4-membered, 5-membered or 6-membered, etc. Now, if the sample is aromatic, it may be carbocyclic or heterocyclic. If the sample is aromatic, the aromatic comes under aromatic may be carbocyclic or it may be heterocyclic. Now, if the sample is aliphatic, now then it may be saturated or unsaturated, saturated or unsaturated, like this. So, UV spectroscopy is useful for the determination of nature of the sample. That include the study of the sample of either aromatic. If it is aromatic, it may be carbocyclic or it may be heterocyclic, or it may be aliphatic. If it is so, it may be saturated or it may be unsaturated. If it is unsaturated, it predicts number of double bonds or number of triple bonds and their positions. The double bonds may be conjugated double bond or double bond may be isolated double bond, etc., etc. So, in brief, the UV is useful for the study of nature of the sample. Now, coming to principle. So similar to proton, the ultraviolet spectroscopy is also comes under an absorption spectroscopy. Absorption spectroscopy. Now here the light used in the UV spectroscopy is belongs to a visible region and as well as near ultraviolet. Visible and near ultraviolet. Near the light belonging near ultraviolet to the visible region is used corresponding to 200 to 750 nanometer. The wavelength of, so this is the light used for the study of ultraviolet spectroscopy belonging to near ultraviolet to that of the visible region. Wavelength corresponding to, that is lambda max, corresponding to 200 nanometer to 750 nanometer. This is the light used or energy range used for the study of ultraviolet spectroscopy. Now coming to the principle involved. In the ultraviolet spectroscopy, or the ultraviolet spectroscopy involved the transition of the electrons from the lower energy level, that is bonding energy level, that is when a sample molecule or when a molecule absorbed energy in the UV region, there is a transition of an electrons from the orbitals of lower energy level to the orbitals of higher energy level. That is a transition of an electron from the bonding molecular orbital which are lower energy orbital is shifted or undergoing transition to the orbitals of higher energy level. Say we have a molecule, whatever it may be, a molecule is taken. When we supply ultraviolet radiation to this UV radiation, say corresponding to 200 to 750 nanometer. So depending upon the nature of the sample molecule, it absorbed ultraviolet radiation. Then what happens after absorption of ultraviolet radiation by the sample molecule? Whatever the electrons existed in the orbitals of lower energy, that is a bonding molecular orbitals of the molecule, BMO. Are you following? So whatever the electrons existed in the orbitals of lower energy level, that is bonding molecular orbital energy within the molecule, are undergoing transition. This is transition. A transition is happen for an electron to be shifted from bonding molecular orbital to where? To the orbitals of higher energy level, that is anti-bonding molecular orbitals, ABMO. So there is a electronic transition. Are you following? So when a sample molecule absorbed ultraviolet radiation, which induced to be undergo transition of an electron from the orbitals of lower energy level to the orbitals of higher energy level, the energy difference between both bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital, that is delta E, is exactly equal to energy of ultraviolet radiation is equal to UV radiation. Energy of ultraviolet radiation. Therefore, it absorb. A sample absorb. Further, it depends upon the nature of the sample. It absorb in order to undergo electronic transition from bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital, where the energy gap or difference between BMO to ABMO is exactly equal to energy of ultraviolet radiation, hence absorbed. Once the energy is absorbed by the sample molecule, it will transmitted the rest of the radiation. When we supply certain extent of radiation to the sample called as intensity, so depending upon the nature of the sample, it absorbs certain proportion of energy in order to do some work. Whatever the rest of the energy get transmitted. So the rest energy is transmitted. Which is plotted as a function of frequency of absorption. The decreasing frequency is measured from the transmitted radiation from the sample and presented in the form of a graph as a function of frequency absorbed by the sample molecule with respect to extent of absorption, that is called as intensity. So the frequency of absorption is measured from the transmitted radiation and presented in the form of a graph as a function of frequency of absorption versus intensity of absorption. We will get a bands like this. This is called as spectrum. The spectrum is originated from the sample molecule by the absorption of ultraviolet energy. Therefore, it is called as ultraviolet spectrum, UV spectrum. Because of electronic transition. Now, what happens when UV radiation is absorbed by the sample? There is an electronic transition. So, because of electronic transition, this technique is also called as electronic spectroscopy, UV spectroscopy or electronic spectroscopy. So, in brief, when we supply ultraviolet energy to the sample, sample will absorb energy from the incident or whatever we supplied to that, and it will induce to be undergo its electron transition from bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular. This is the work done inside the sample molecule while absorbing energy. After that, the rest of the energy is transmitted, which is plotted as a function of frequency of absorption versus extent of absorption, that is intensity, called as spectrum, and it is originated by the absorption of ultraviolet energy, hence it is called as absorption spectroscopy. Because of electronic transition, it is also called as electronic spectroscopy. So depending upon the energy absorbed for electronic transition, we can predict what type of electronic transition is happen. Are you following? So based on the energy absorbed, that is wavelength absorbed. Now absorption frequency in the ultraviolet spectroscopy is measured in the form of a wavelength and represented in nanometer, where wavelength is inversely proportional to frequency. Higher wavelength, lower frequency, lower wavelength, higher frequency. So based on the wavelength of absorption by the sample molecule, we can predict what kind of electronic transition is happen inside the sample molecule, from which we can predict the nature of the sample. So depending upon the type of electronic transition, we can predict what is the nature of the sample molecule, that we may study in the application part. So this is about principle of UV spectroscopy. Now coming to the measurement of absorption frequency. Measurement of absorption frequency. Measurement of absorption. Measurement of absorption. Now the absorption frequency for a sample is measured with the help of Beer and Lambert law. Beer's-Lambert law. With the application of Beer's and Lambert law, we can measure the absorption frequency. Now according to the Beer's and Lambert law, now we have taken a sample molecule and supplied it to ultraviolet energy. Certain extent of energy is absorbed by the sample molecule, that can be measured with the help of Beer's and Lambert law. According to the Beer's and Lambert law, according to when a monochromatic light is passed through a sample molecule, according to the Beer's and Lambert law, say for example, we have a sample molecule taken into sample tube. Say this is sample tube. Sample tube. When passing monochromatic light, supplied. Now according to the Beer's and Lambert law, when monochromatic light is passing through a sample solution which contain a sample molecule, the decreasing frequency of transmitted light with the thickness is directly proportional to intensity of incident radiation as well as the concentration of the solution. Intensity of incident radiation as well as the concentration of the solution. Now this is the light called as I0, incident radiation. Now when we supply, so according to the Beer-Lambert, what they say is, according to them, when a monochromatic light is passing through the sample solution which contain the sample molecule, now there is a certain proportion of light is absorbed by the sample from the incident light. What happens? The intensity of the incident decreases. Is it clear? So the decreasing, when a monochromatic light is passing through a solution, passing through a sample solution, the decreasing frequency of the transmitted light with the thickness is directly proportional to intensity of incident radiation as well as the concentration of the solution. They summarized as A is equal to, now here we get transmitted light, transmitted, it can be represented, say I, incident is I0, this is transmitted I, where the frequency is less for a transmitted when compared with the incident. So according to the Beer-Lambert law, it is summarized as A is equal to log I0 divided by I, where I0 is the intensity of incident radiation, I will be the intensity of transmitted radiation. This is higher, this is lower, which will further summarized as K into C into L. K into C into L, that is, the absorption is maximum under higher concentration. Now here A is optical density, the absorption, I0 is intensity of incident radiation, I is the intensity of transmitted radiation. It is further summarized as K stands for molar extinction coefficient, absorption coefficient. Now C will be the concentration of this sample solution, L will be the length of the sample tube, path length. This is the length, L value. So absorption, the absorption, that is optical density, is directly proportional to concentration of the sample solution. If the sample solution is higher concentration, the absorption is also more. It is directly proportional. Now with the help of this equation, we can measure the light absorbed by the sample. Next, presentation. Presentation of ultraviolet spectrum. Now in the ultraviolet, just now I told, in the ultraviolet spectroscopy, the absorption frequency is measured in the form of a wavelength of maximum absorption and represented in nanometer units, represented in nanometer unit, the wavelength of absorption. The wavelength of the energy absorbed by the sample molecule is measured in a wavelength and its units are nanometer, where the lambda wavelength is inversely proportional to the frequency. The higher wavelength, lower frequency, lower wavelength, higher will be the frequency. Now the ultraviolet spectrum is presented as a function of the absorption frequency of the sample molecule on a x direction and the extent of absorption, that is intensity, is presented on y direction in this way. Lambda max, so absorption frequency on x direction, intensity of absorption on y direction. It is plotted starting from lower wavelength to higher wavelength, from left to right, say 180, say 200, 220, 240, say 300, say 400, like this. So UV spectrum is presented by drawing a frequency of absorption on x scale in the wavelength in nanometer, starting from lower wavelength to higher wavelength of left to right, say 180, 200, 220, 240, 300 up to 400. Is it clear? So we will get Once the sample absorbed energy from the incident radiation, we will get a band like absorption, we will get a absorption band like this, a absorption band like this called as UV absorption band, UV absorption band. UV absorption band. Its position can be interpreted from the middle point or midpoint of the band. So this is lambda max absorbed by the sample. So its lambda max, say nearly it is 240 nanometer, corresponding to say 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50, 60, 70, like 100. Now, a sample absorbed energy at the wavelength of 200, nearly 240 nanometer, of to some extent, that is about 70% absorption. So sample is absorbed energy nearly at 245 nanometer of wavelength, about 75%. So depending on, so we will get, now we have a sample, we have taken one sample, supplied ultraviolet radiation to that, where it absorbed energy, and it will induce internally to be undergo its electron to be transition from BMO to ABMO, that is inside work done. For that it absorbed energy, the rest is transmitted to us. We have collected a transmitted radiation, we have measured where the energy is decreased from the incident, and the data is presented in the form of a graph. So we will get a bands like this called as UV absorption band. Its position, so position of UV absorption band is or a signal indicated type of electronic transition. From the position of UV band, we can measure what type of electronic transition happen inside the sample after its absorption of UV radiation, from which we will get the nature of the sample. What will be the nature of the sample? So this is about presentation. Now coming to the next topic. Types of electronic transitions. Types of electronic transitions. Types of electronic transitions. Now, when a sample molecule absorbed ultraviolet energy, there are different type of electronic transitions happen. Now, once energy is absorbed, there may be transition of electrons from bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbitals. A question arises, which kind of bonding molecular orbital electrons are undergoing transition to, which kind of anti-bonding? There are different type of orbitals, bonding orbitals and as well as anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Therefore, after once it absorbed energy, it undergo different type of electronic transitions. According to the selection rules, there are 4 type of electronic transitions are possible in a molecule. According to selection rule, 4 types of electronic transitions are possible for a molecule once it absorbed ultraviolet energy. They are, the electronic transitions may be sigma to sigma star. The electrons may be undergo transition from the sigma bonding molecular orbital to sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is first type. Now, the electrons may undergo this type of transition. Now, this is after absorption of energy by the sample, it may be induced to be undergo its non-bonding electron from non-bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding sigma or molecular orbital. N to sigma star transition. This is also allowed transition. Sigma to sigma star transition or non-bonding to sigma star transition, or pi to pi star transition. So this represented transition of electrons existed in the pi bonding molecular orbital to pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is third type of electronic transition, again allowed transition, or N to pi star transition. So the electrons of non-bonding molecular orbital may be undergo transition from non-bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding pi orbitals, pi star ABMO. Is it clear? So when energy is absorbed by the sample molecule, there are different type of electronic transitions, because every sample molecule has different orbitals. They may be pi sigma orbital, pi orbital and non-bonding orbital corresponding to their anti-bonding molecular orbital. So according to the selection rule, once energy is absorbed by the sample molecule, the electrons may be undergo a electronic transition of sigma to sigma star, N to sigma star, pi to pi star, non-bonding orbital to pi star orbital. These are the four type of electronic transition which are allowed. Let us discuss the energy levels of each orbitals. Energy levels of each orbitals. Say this is sigma orbital, this is pi orbital, this is N orbital, pi star orbital, sigma star orbital. Now you can see sigma orbital, pi orbital, N orbital, pi star orbital, sigma star orbital. This is the order of orbitals situated in the sample molecule. Now we know sigma orbital is more stable, means least energetic when compared with the pi orbital and when compared with the non-bonding orbital, whereas sigma star orbital is least stabilized, means it has more energy when compared with the pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now these orbitals are called as BMO, bonding molecular orbital, pi bonding molecular orbital, non-bonding molecular orbital, and these two are called as anti-bonding molecular orbitals, ABMO. Pi star anti-bonding molecular, sigma star anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now these are the orbitals situated according to their energies. This is the order of situation. Now this is energy increasing order: lower energy, somewhat higher energy, moderate energy, further higher energy, most higher energy for sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital. Is it clear? Now the electrons, say a molecule contain a sigma. Now electrons in the sigma bonding molecular orbital, or the electrons may be present in pi bonding molecular orbital, or the electron may be existed in non-bonding molecular orbitals. Are you following? So a molecule may be contain a electrons of sigma bonding molecular orbitals, electrons of pi bonding molecular orbitals, electrons of non-bonding molecular orbitals. Now when we supply ultraviolet energy, UV radiation to the sample, what happens? There may be electron from sigma bonding molecular orbital may undergo transition to where? To sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is called as sigma to sigma star transition. Sigma to sigma star transition. Are you following? Where the electron is shifting from sigma BMO to sigma anti-bonding molecular ABMO. This transition is called as sigma to sigma star transition. Or the electron may be shifted, say, here to here, from non-bonding molecular orbital to sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is called as N to sigma star transition. N to sigma star transition. The second transition is N to sigma star transition. What it represented? It representing the electron may be undergo transition from non-bonding molecular orbital to sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is also allowed transition. Or the electron may be undergo transition from its pi bonding molecular orbital to pi anti-bonding molecular orbitals. This is pi to pi star transition. Pi to pi star transition. A third transition, also allowed transition. The fourth one, the electron from non-bonding molecular orbital may be undergo transition to pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is N to pi star transition. Is it clear? Now, a orbitals with different energies has an electron of sigma or electron in pi or electron of non-bonding. When we supply ultraviolet energy to the sample, the electron may be undergo transition from sigma BMO to sigma star, sigma to sigma star transition, or electron of non-bonding molecular orbital may undergo transition to sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital, that is N to sigma star, or electron of pi BMO is undergoing transition to pi anti-bonding. This is pi to pi star transition. Or electron of non-bonding molecular orbital is shifted to pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is N to pi star transition. So these are the four allowed transitions according to the selection rules. Now the energy difference between, as we know in this picture, where the sigma bonding molecular orbital is least energetic because it is more stable, whereas sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital is more energetic than all other orbitals. That is, the energy difference between sigma to sigma star orbital is higher. The energy is higher when compared with the energy difference between non-bonding orbital to sigma star, energy between pi to pi star, energy between N to pi star. That is, the energy required for sigma to sigma star transition means, in order to shift an electron from sigma bonding molecular orbital to sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital, it requires more energy. Sigma to sigma star transition, energy is greater, high energy is required for this transition. Now coming to the energy difference between N orbital to sigma star orbital, N to sigma star is further greater than energy required for pi to pi star transition. Pi to pi star transition is greater than energy required for N to pi star transition. N to pi star transition. This is energy required order. So this picture, a diagram represented that energy required for sigma to sigma star transition is higher or more when compared with to N to sigma star transition, or when compared with the pi to pi star transition and n to pi star transition, where the energy required for n to pi star transition is lesser when compared with the sigma to sigma star. Is it clear? So the energy required, this is the energy required order for various transitions. Now here, after absorption of UV light by the sample, there may be various transitions become possible according to selection rules. So these are the 4 type of possible transitions we have shown in the picture or diagram. According to the energy differences between bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbitals, for electronic transition of sigma to sigma star, energy required is more as the gap is more, energy difference is more when compared with the energy difference from n to sigma star, pi to pi star, n to pi star orbitals. So these are the 4 type of electronic transitions are happen inside the sample molecule. Let us discuss one by one in which type of molecules these transitions become possible. First one, sigma to sigma star transition. Sigma to sigma star transition. Now this transition is possible in a molecule which contain only sigma electrons, Example, you take a saturated hydrocarbons, say ethane, where it contain only sigma electron, no other transitions are possible. Here ethane or saturated hydrocarbons contain only sigma electrons, therefore only sigma to sigma star transitions are possible in a saturated hydrocarbons. Is it clear? Further, just now we studied the energy required for sigma to sigma star transition is higher with the wavelength corresponding to 150 nanometer. Lambda max is equal to 150 nanometer. Now this is a saturated hydrocarbon where it has a possibility of only one type of transition, that is sigma to sigma star transition. Further, the energy required for this transition, sigma to sigma star transition, is higher, that is equal to the wavelength of 150 nanometer. Now this energy is not available in the instrument. The energy whatever required for sigma to sigma star transition is not available in the instrument, as we are providing the ultraviolet energy corresponding to 200 nanometer to 750 nanometer to the sample. There is no energy of less than 200 nanometer. Therefore, this type of transitions are not observed in the UV spectrum. Are you following? However, the sigma to sigma star transition is possible, but it need higher energy, that is the wavelength nearly 150 nanometer. This energy is not available in the instrument where we are operating the instrument dealing with the energy of 200 nanometer to 750 nanometer, but it requires 150 nanometer. Therefore, a absorption band in the UV spectrum which are corresponding to sigma star transitions are not observed. Are you following? So the sigma to sigma star transition, the absorption bands are absent in the UV spectrum. So this is about sigma to sigma star transition. Now coming to N to second type of transition, N to sigma star transition. n to sigma star transition. Now this transition is possible in a molecule which contain both non-bonding electron and sigma electrons. Example, you take a saturated hydrocarbons attached with OH, any functional group bearing non-bonding electron. A saturated hydrocarbons attached or bearing with a functional group of non-bonding electrons availability. Example, you take alcohols, you take alkyl halides, you take ethers, etc. So n to sigma star transition is possible in a molecule which contain both non-bonding electron as well as sigma electrons. Example, you take alcohol, say methyl alcohol. So this contain non-bonding electron as well as sigma electron, hence it undergo n to sigma star transition. There is a possibility of n to sigma star transition. Further, the energy required for n to sigma star transition is again higher, that is exactly equal wavelength of lambda max is equal to 175 nanometer. However, n to sigma star transition is possible for this molecule, but the energy for n to sigma star transition is also higher, as the energy difference between n orbital to sigma star orbital is high, that is exactly equal wavelength of 175 nanometer. Again, this energy is not available in our spectrophotometer, where it is operating wavelength from 200 nanometer onwards. So this is less than 200 nanometer. Therefore, however, transition is possible, but energy is not available. Hence, the bands, the absorption bands corresponding to n to sigma star transition were also absent in the spectrum, were not observed in the spectrum. Is it clear? Now coming to third type of transition, that is pi to pi star transition. Pi to pi star transition. Pi to pi star transition. Now this type of transition is possible in a molecule which contain the pi electrons, like alkenes, alkynes and aromatic hydrocarbons. A sample or a molecule with the pi electrons may undergo pi to pi star type of transition. Example, this is the alkene. So this transition is possible for an alkene or aromatic hydrocarbons or alkynes. Wherever there is a double bond may undergo pi to pi star transition, as the molecule contain pi orbitals and pi electrons, therefore undergo pi to pi star transition. Like this, we can represent the transition as one electron. Now there is a two pi electron in the pi bonding molecular orbital. Out of 2 electron of pi bonding molecular orbital, 1 electron is shifted to pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. It can be represented this. So the 2 pi electrons of pi bonding molecular orbital, one is undergo transition to pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. Say this is pi orbital, this is pi star orbital. So that is the transition. Now the energy required for pi to pi star transition is less when compared with the sigma to sigma star and pi to and n to sigma star transition. Energy for pi to pi star is less when compared with the first two transitions. That is, the wavelength of 270 nanometer, the energy corresponding to the wavelength of lambda max 270 nanometer required for pi to pi star transition. So this is greater than 200 nanometer. This energy is available in the instrument spectrophotometer. So as we are operating energy starting from 200 nanometer to 750 nanometer. Here for the pi to pi star transition, it requires energy of wavelength 270 nanometer. So it is available in the spectrophotometer. Therefore, we can observe a absorption bands in the UV spectrum relating to the pi to pi star transition. Pi to pi star transition. These transitions are very common in a molecule of unsaturated system or aromatic hydrocarbons. Is it clear? Now coming to fourth type of transition, that is N to pi star transition. N to pi star transition. Now this type of transitions become possible for a molecule which contain both non-bonding electron as well as the pi electrons. Example, you take carbonyl compounds, where the carbonyl compounds contain both pi electron as well as non-bonding electrons. Example, say this is carbonyl compound where it contains non-bonding electron as well as pi electrons. Now such compounds are undergoing N to pi star type of transition. We can show it as you see one electron. Now there are two pairs of non-bonding electron. From one pair, one electron is shifted to where? Pi star orbital. We can show here one non-bonding electron is shifted to pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. Therefore it is N to pi star transition. N to pi star transition, and it also contain pi electron. Therefore it undergo pi to pi star transition like this. Two non-bonding electrons remain in the non-bonding molecular orbital. One pi electron is shifted to its pi anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is pi to pi star. Pi to pi star transition. So a carbonyl compound may undergo, or any compound that contain non-bonding electron as well as pi electron may undergo both N to pi star transition or pi to pi star transition. Now coming to N to pi star transition, the energy required for N to pi star transition is least when compared with the sigma to sigma star, N to sigma star, pi to pi star. Are you following? And this energy is available, that is the energy approximately lambda max is equal to 284 nanometer. 284 nanometer. So here the energy required for N to pi star transition corresponding to wavelength of 284 nanometer. This is greater than 200 nanometer and it is available in the instrument. Therefore absorbed, that is N to pi star transition is possible. That is a band, UV absorption band corresponding to N to pi star transition. It can also be observed in the spectrum. So this is about types of electronic transitions, that is energy levels of various orbitals in a molecule, types of electronic transitions, and energy required for various type of transitions, and possibility, non-possibility. For pi to sigma star, the wavelength required is 150 nanometer. For n to sigma star, the wavelength required is 175 nanometer. For pi to pi star, the wavelength required is 270 nanometer. For n to pi star, it is about 284 nanometer. Now in this series, you observe, we have an instrument operating with 200 to 750 nanometer. In that, 150 is not available, 175 nanometer is not available. Therefore, the first two type of transitions are not possible in the UV spectrum, as energy is not available. Coming to the next two, pi to pi star 270 nanometer, n to pi star 284 nanometer. This is above 200 nanometer energy required. So that is available, and hence in the ultraviolet spectrum in general, we can observe a bands corresponding to either pi to pi star transition and n to pi star transitions. Is it clear? So this is about type of transitions and energy required for various type of transition, and possibility of out of 4 transition, only 2 possible transitions we may observe in the ultraviolet spectrum. That depends upon the energy of supplied radiation or incident. Coming to the other topic, the some important terms used in the ultraviolet spectroscopy. Terms used. Some terms used in the ultraviolet spectroscopy. After this, we will go for the fresh topic. The important terms used in the UV spectroscopy includes a chromophore, 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 chromophore. Let us discuss what is chromophore. A functional group or a part of the molecule, a functional group or a part of the molecule which is responsible for absorption of ultraviolet energy by the molecule. A group or a portion of certain portion of the molecule which is mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy by the molecule. Those groups are called as chromophores. Chromophores. For example, you take cyclohexane, no absorption. Why it is not absorbing? Just now we discussed, because it has only sigma electrons. Only sigma to sigma star is possible, where energy required is more. It is not available, therefore not absorbed. Not absorbed. Not absorbed. When we introduce one double bond, absorbed. It is absorbed. What happens? The introduction of double bond is responsible, mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy by the molecule. So here the double bond is known as chromophore. Chromophore. Without double bond, no absorption. Introducing double bond, the molecule is able to absorb ultraviolet energy. So here the presence of double bond only responsible for absorption, therefore called as chromophore. 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 Is it clear? So whatever the part or whatever the group which are mainly responsible for absorption of ultraviolet energy are called as chromophores. The groups includes, say, NO2. A chromophoric groups include NO2, NO, N double bond N, C double bond C, C triple bond N, A paraquinone system. Now all these groups, say NO2, N double bond O, N double bond N, C double bond C, C triple bond N, a paraquinonoid system or orthoquinone system, orthoquinonoid. This is ortho. All comes under chromophore. These are the groups which are responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy, are called as chromophores. Now the second term, auxochrome. The second term used in the ultraviolet spectrum is auxochrome. Now certain groups in a molecule, even which are not mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy by the molecule. Certain groups, even they are not also mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy by the molecule, but when these type of groups are conjugated with a chromophore, are you following? Certain groups, even which are not mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy, but when these groups are conjugated with a chromophore, they increase, these groups increase the absorption coefficient of chromophore by increasing the resonance energy of the molecule. The groups which enhance the absorption coefficient of a chromophore by increasing the resonance energy and then decreasing the energy difference between the orbitals, those groups are called as auxochromes. For example, you take cyclohexanol. Here the presence of OH, now this molecule is not absorbed. Say first you take cyclohexane, not absorbed. Cyclohexane, not absorbed. When we introduce OH group, again not absorbed. Again not absorbed. Not absorbed. Now when we take this hexenol to hexenol, introduced one double bond. Here this is the group, where it is conjugated with chromophore. This is chromophore, where it is conjugated with chromophore. Now due to resonance, you can see this is absorbed. Energy is absorbed. Now here this group is conjugated with the chromophore, where it enhances the resonance energy. Due to the presence of this group under conjugation, enhanced the resonance energy, whereby decreased the energy difference between the two orbitals, bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbitals. When resonance energy increased, the energy difference between the orbital decreases. When energy difference between the orbital decreases, more probability of absorption of energy by the molecule. So here the presence of this group, even this group is present in this molecule, there is no absorption. That means this group is not mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy by the molecule. Now coming to here, when this group is conjugated with the chromophore, where it enhanced the resonance energy, therefore improved the absorption capacity of chromophore. absorption coefficient or absorption capacity of chromophore. These groups are called as auxochromes. 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 Chromophore and auxochrome. Are you following? Again, a chromophore is a group which is mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy. An auxochrome is a group which enhanced the absorption capacity of chromophore by improving the resonance energy when it is conjugated with chromophore, called as auxochromes. Now here this is auxochrome, this is chromophore. Now you can compare the difference between these two. A cyclohexene with only chromophore. Only chromophore, there is no auxochrome. When compared with this, now the second molecule is cyclohexene with one auxochrome. When compared with these two, the absorption capacity of this is more, hexenol is more when compared with cyclohexene. Are you following? Both are absorbed. Cyclohexene is absorbed, cyclohexenol is also absorbed, but the absorption coefficient, absorption capacity of cyclohexenol is more when compared with the cyclohexene simple. What happens here? The absorption is improved for a chromophore by the auxochrome. In both cases chromophore is same, but in the first example cyclohexene, the absorption by this chromophore is less, whereas in this case, however the chromophore is same, but it is more absorbed. Why? Because the auxochrome improved the resonance energy, thereby decreased the energy difference between the binding to that of anti-bonding molecular orbital, therefore more absorbed here. Here it is less absorbed. So this is the difference between auxochrome and chromophore. The third term involved in the UV spectroscopy, that is intensity shift. Intensity shift. Intensity shift. Now say this is ultraviolet spectrum, lambda max here on X scale, intensity on Y scale. Now due to some environmental effect in a molecule, the environmental or some factors in a molecule affected the absorption maxima of the sample. Are you following? Some factors that were influencing the absorption maxima, that is wavelength of absorption of the sample, to be shifted either towards shorter wavelength or either towards longer wavelength. If an absorption maxima, lambda maxima of a molecule, if it is shifted towards longer wavelength, 200 to 400 nanometer. Are you following? So it is, now we have a molecule, its UV spectrum, we have recorded its UV spectrum. We may observe its position, its absorption band lambda max is at this point. Due to some factors, this band in the spectrum may be shifted sometimes towards longer wavelength or may be shifted towards shorter wavelength. Are you following? So due to the environmental factors in a molecule, the absorption maxima of a molecule, it may be shifted towards shorter wavelength or may be shifted towards longer wavelength. If the band is shifted towards longer wavelength, it is called as bathochromic shift. Bathochromic shift. Bathochromic shift. The shifting of the absorption band in a molecule towards longer wavelength is called as bathochromic shift. It is also known as red shift. Red shift. Red shift, where lambda max increases, where the absorption maxima increases, that is wavelength of absorption increases. Bathochromic shift or red shift. Or if the position of the band in the spectrum, if it is shifted towards shorter wavelength, it may be shifted towards shorter wavelength. This is called as hypsochromic shift. Hypsochromic. Hypsochromic shift. Shifting towards shorter wavelength is called as hypsochromic shift or blue shift. Blue shift. Blue shift, where lambda wavelength is less, wavelength of absorption decreases. If the molecule absorbed shorter wavelength, it is called as blue shift or hypsochromic shift. If the molecule absorbed longer wavelength, it is called as bathochromic shift or red shift, where the wavelength of absorption is more lambda value, that is less energy. Is it clear? Now coming to, this is frequency shift. Coming to intensity shift. Now the absorption band intensity may be increased, intensity may be decreased. If it is increased, which is called as hypochromic shift. Hyperchromic shift. What is hyperchromic shift? Hyperchromic shift is a shift where the intensity increases. If the intensity of the absorption decreases, it is called as hypochromic shift. Hypochromic shift. If intensity increases, called as hyperchromic. If intensity decreases, called as hypochromic shift. Now these are the four shifts we observed in the spectrum due to some factors. Shifting towards longer wavelength is a bathochromic or red shift. Shifting towards the shorter wavelength is a hypsochromic or blue shift. Increasing intensity is a hyperchromic shift. Decreasing intensity of the band is a hypochromic shift. Hypochromic shift. Is it clear? Let us study one by one. Coming to bathochromic shift. Coming to bathochromic shift. Bathochromic or red shift. Bathochromic shift or red shift. Now, introduction of an oxochromic group. We have a molecule. Introduction of oxochromic group or increasing the conjugation. If oxochromes are introduced into the molecule or increased its conjugation, where both oxochromic groups and increasing conjugation increase the resonance energy of the whole molecule, thereby they decrease energy difference between bonding molecular orbital to that of anti-bonding molecule. Are you following? When we introduce either oxochrome or when we extend the conjugation of the molecule, what happens? Introduction of both oxochrome or extending conjugation improve the resonance energy of the whole molecule, leading to decrease the energy difference between bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital. when energy difference between the bonding orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital decreased, what happens? The molecule absorbed energy at longer wavelength. Energy is absorbed by the molecule at longer wavelength. Therefore, the band is shifted towards longer wavelength called as bathochromic shift. Bathochromic shift may be due to the introduction of oxochrome or extending conjugation. Both leads to improving resonance energy and thereby decreasing the energy difference between the bonding to anti-bonding molecular orbital, and hence the molecule absorbed energy at longer wavelength, because for its transition it requires less energy and hence absorbed under higher wavelength called as bathochromic shift or red shift. For example, you take aniline, you take nitrobenzene. Nitrobenzene, where the whole benzene ring as well as NO2 group corresponding to chromophore. It has only chromophoric group. Say its color is pale yellow. Its color is pale yellow. When we introduce oxochrome, say you take paranitroaniline, NO2, this is NH2, paranitroaniline. What happens here? This is chromophore, this is oxochrome. In the first example, in the case of aniline, there is no oxochrome. Both benzene ring as well as nitro group, both are chromophore. In the paranitroaniline, we introduced one oxochromic, NH2 is a oxochromic group. What happens? Its color become from pale yellow to orange color. So what happens here? Introduction of oxochrome into the molecule, its resonance energy decreased and energy increased, and energy difference between the two energy levels of an orbital decreases, and hence it absorbed longer wavelength. That is, the pale yellow corresponds to absorption near to visible, shorter wavelength, where orange represented absorption of the energy by the molecule in the visible region, where the longer wavelength, visible region radiation corresponding to longer wavelength, ultraviolet corresponding to shorter wavelength. Pale yellow is becoming orange, indicated increasing wavelength of absorption from shorter wavelength to longer wavelength. The wavelength is shorter. Here the wavelength is longer. Longer wavelength is called as bathochromic shift. So it is shifted towards bathochromic. Similarly, you take another molecule, say N double bond N. Now it has the whole molecule is a chromophore. This is chromophore. It is colorless. It is colorless because it absorbing in the ultraviolet region. That is, lambda max is shorter. Now the whole molecule is a chromophoric and it is a colorless. Why it is colorless? Because it absorbing energy in the ultraviolet region, where it is the wavelength is shorter. When we introduce one oxochromic group, say dimethylamine, ME. When we introduce one this is oxochrome. We are going to introduce an oxochrome. Now you can see what happens. Nitrogen, double bond nitrogen, and oxochrome, ME. The up to this is chromophore. This is oxochrome. Oxochrome. We introduced an oxochrome. Now immediately when oxochrome is introduced, immediately its color become yellow. Yellow. What it indicated? Colorless indicated absorption in the UV region, that is shorter wavelength. Yellow, appearance of yellow indicated its absorption is shifted from UV to visible region, where the wavelength of the visible region is higher wavelength. Lambda max is high. Are you following? What happens here? A simple introduction of oxochrome into the molecule, absorption is shifted from visible region, UV region to visible region, that is shorter wavelength to longer wavelength. Hence it is called as bathochromic shift. Longer wavelength shift is called as bathochrome. Why bathochromic shift? Due to the introduction of either oxochrome or introduction of extending the conjugation. Is it clear? Now coming to hypsochromic shift, that is shorter wavelength shift. Hypsochromic. Hypsochromic shift, that is wavelength is shifted towards shorter wavelength, shorter. Now here removal of oxochrome or removal of conjugation from the molecule. When if removed an oxochrome or removed a conjugation in the molecule, that resulted decrease in the resonance energy and thereby increase the orbital the energy difference between the bonding to anti-bonding molecular orbital. There are two reasons, either removal of oxochrome or either removal of conjugation from the molecule, that leads to decrease in the resonance energy of the molecule, resulted increase the energy difference between the bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital. In those cases, energy required for electronic transition is more and hence absorbed at shorter wavelength, called as hypsochromic shift. For example, you take aniline, where lambda max is longer wavelength. Aniline absorbed longer wavelength. When we protonate this, when we add a proton, you can see what happens. NH3 plus, it become NH3 plus. Here in this case, this is chromophore, this is oxochrome. Benzene ring is a chromophore, NH2 group is a oxochrome. Now when benzene ring attached with oxochrome, it absorbed longer wavelength. Now when we protonate the aniline, when we add acid to the aniline, what happens? It become anilinium ion, that is NH3 plus. That means we removed the oxochrome. Now this is not oxochrome, it has only chromophore. It has only chromophore. In the case of aniline, where the oxochrome, that is NH2 group, is able to donate its non-bonding electron to benzene, that is able to participate in the resonance. This two non-bonding pair of electron is contributed in the resonance. Therefore improved the resonance energy and decreased the energy difference between bonding to anti-bonding molecular orbital and hence longer wavelength absorbed. When we add proton or when we protonate, what happens? It becomes NH3 plus. where it is not able to contribute its non-bonding electrons. There is no non-bonding electrons already donated to a proton to become NH3 plus. It is not contributing in the resonance. So that means, in brief, we removed the oxochrome. We removed the oxochrome from the molecule, which is not contributing in the resonance. So that removal of oxochrome decreased the resonance energy and hence improved the energy difference between the bonding to anti-bonding molecular orbital. Therefore, the molecule absorb energy at shorter wavelength. Shorter wavelength, lambda max is equal to shorter. So what happens? Longer wavelength is shifted to shorter wavelength. Due to what? Due to removal of oxochrome from the molecule. Sometimes removal of conjugation leads to shifting towards hypsochromic, that is shorter wavelength. Now coming to intensity shift. Hyperchromic shift. Hyperchromic shift. It involved, that is, improving the intensity of absorption by the molecule is called as hyperchromic. The intensity, where the intensity of absorption increased, that is called as hyperchromic shift. Introduction of oxochrome or extending the conjugation. Introduction of oxochrome or extending the conjugation leads to increase in the resonance energy, decrease in the energy difference between the bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital. Therefore, for electronic transition, the molecule requires lesser energy, hence its probability to absorb increases. A simple concept. When we introduce oxochrome or when we extend the conjugation of the molecule, leading to increase in the resonance energy of the whole molecule, thereby decrease the energy difference between bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital. That resulted less energy is required. When energy difference between the bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital decreases, for electronic transition it requires less energy. When less energy is required for electronic transition, its probability of absorption increased. Therefore, intensity increased. Therefore, intensity also increased, which is called as hyperchromic shift. Hyperchromic shift. For example, you take pyridine. Example, you take pyridine, where its lambda max is equal to 257 nanometer. Wavelength of absorption is 257 nanometer. Molar extinction coefficient. The molar absorption coefficient is 2750. Now, when we introduce one oxochrome, say, now you can see what is the difference. We introduced one oxochrome, that is a methyl group, where lambda max is shifted to 262 nanometer. The absorption maxima is shifted from shorter wavelength to longer wavelength, 257 to 262 nanometer. Similarly, the absorption coefficient is shifted to 3560 from 2750 to 3560. Is it clear? Always the bathochromic shift, shorter wavelength to longer wavelength. The bathochromic shift always improved the intensity of absorption, that is hyperchromic shift. They are interrelated. When the absorption is shifted towards bathochromic, that is from shorter wavelength to longer wavelength, the intensity also improved, that is that resulted hyperchromic shift. The fourth one, hypochromic shift. Hypochromic. Hypochromic shift, where the intensity of absorption decreases. Now it may be due to again removal of oxochrome or removal of conjugation. When we remove either oxochrome or conjugation from the molecule, which resulted the decrease in the resonance energy and thereby increase in the energy difference between the bonding molecular orbital to anti-bonding molecular orbital, resulted more energy is required for electronic transition. When energy required is more, the probability of absorption decreases, therefore intensity decreases. When energy required for electronic transition is more, its probability or tendency of absorption decreases and intensity decreases, called as hypochromic shift. So these are the important terms involved in the ultraviolet spectroscopy. One is chromophore, oxochrome. Intensity shift include bathochromic shift or hypsochromic shift, hyperchromic shift, hypochromic shift, in brief. So these are the important terms involved during the study of UV spectroscopy in brief. Whatever the group which is mainly responsible to absorb ultraviolet energy is called as chromophore. The group which is not mainly responsible for absorption, but when conjugated with chromophore, which improve the absorption coefficient, the absorption capacity of chromophore, is called as oxochrome. Now coming to intensity shift. Introduction of oxochrome or extending conjugation, the absorption maxima is shifted towards longer wavelength, called as bathochromic shift or red shift. Removal of conjugation or removal of oxochrome from the molecule, where the lambda maxima is shifted towards shorter wavelength, called as hypsochromic shift or blue shift. Introduction of oxochrome extending conjugation, in addition to shift towards longer wavelength, the intensity also improved, called as hyperchromic shift. Removal of oxochrome, removal of conjugation from the molecule, where its absorption maxima is shifted towards a shorter wavelength, that resulted decrease in the intensity, called as hypochromic shift. So these are some important terms involved in the ultraviolet spectroscopy. With this, I complete today's lecture. We will continue the other topics in the next class. Thank you very much.